Okay, this is a critical reasoning question. So let's look at this question. Please provide me such of these type of questions. Okay, in each of the following questions, a short passage is given with one of the lines in the passage missing and represented by a blank. Okay, select the best out of the 5 answer choices given to make the passage complete and coherent. So basically these sort of questions test your ability to connect logical sequences, right? It's more like if you practice more of this also, you have a good idea of jumble sentences. So sometimes in this question, the first sentence, the topic sentence is missing. Sometimes you might have variations to this where the last sentence is missing, right? Usually it's either the first or the last. I haven't come across a question where in between sentences are asked, right? Becomes too difficult. So let's look at this. So for ideally, the approach that you need to take for these sort of questions is to understand the theme of the passage. What is the passage trying to say? What are the keywords, right? And we also have to pay attention to linking words, connecting words. Those are very, very important because here we are looking at coherence. Remember, Namrata, that was one of your questions, right? How can these two sentences come together? How can I logically, naturally connect them? That's what coherence means, right? So this is the passage we have, right? It has 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. So, and I have 5 options, A, B, C, D, E. I need to choose one of these options which has to go for the first sentence. Business is instead moving to digital native insurers. I want you to pay attention to this word instead, right? And then look at the meaning that the context is giving. Is it giving a positive or a negative meaning? So instead is a antonym clue word for you, which means that based on what the meaning this sentence is giving, you need to kind of look at what precedes it. So obviously I need a sentence that is giving me a meaning opposite to this context. Business is instead moving to digital native insurers, many of which are offering low premiums to those willing to collect and share their data. Yet the biggest winners could be tech companies rather than the firms that now dominate the industry. So basically this whole thing is talking about insurance, right? Insurance is increasingly reliant on the use of technology to change behavior. Firms act as helicopter parents to policyholders, warning of impending harm. So they've given some examples. Slow down, reduce your sugar intake, call the plumber, the better to reduce unnecessary payouts. Yet this sort of relationship relies on trust and the Googles and Apples of the world on which consumers rely day by day and hour by hour may be best placed to win this business. So the crux of this passage, what is the crux of this passage? Basically it talks about insurance business, right? How it's trending. It's moving on to digital platform, right? And what are the possible problems that the current insurance business is facing? That's what the passage is about. So keeping in mind this word instead, let's look at our options. Option A, the growing mountain of personal data available to individuals and crucially to firms is giving those with the necessary processing power the ability to distinguish between low risk and high risk individuals. The Googles and Apples, okay, basically they're talking about the up-to-date technology, right? Right? It's just an expression where they're saying consumers are so dependent on technology for everything. Right? Whether they want to acquire information, whether they want to take information, receive or give, right? So they're saying since consumers are so dependent on technology for everything, the best thing to do is to even take the insurance business digital, right? And they're talking about some threats that they are facing right now. So the first one talks about it basically gives you distinction between low risk and high risk individuals, giving information about what can be done. doesn't look like a topic sentence for me. Right? Option B, cheap sensors in the tsunami of data they generate can improve our lives. Black boxes in cars can tell us how to drive more carefully, and wearable devices will nudge us toward the healthier lifestyles. So what is that they generate? It seems like an in-between sentence for me. Right? It doesn't make sense. So it doesn't seem like a topic sentence. C, the better behavior resulting from smart devices is just one threat to the insurance industry. Conventional risk pools, which is for home or car insurance for example, are shrinking as preventable accidents decline, leaving the slow-footed giants of the industry at risk. So who is the slow-footed giants they are referring to? The insurance business. Right? So if something is at risk, some change needs to happen for it to proceed. So for me, this looks like the topic sentence, right? Because I'm looking at businesses instead moving to digital native insurers. So there is something at risk and there is some change happening. That way I feel C fits. But let's look at D and E also. D says the uncertainty that underpins the need for insurance is now shrinking thanks to better insights into individual risks. This seems more like a culminating sentence for me, right? It seems like a closing sentence for me. In fact, the whole passage, I feel, revolves around this. It's more like a closing sentence. It doesn't make sense. Right? E, the data has enabled insurance companies to gauge the situation and plan accordingly. Here again, this also seems like a closing sentence. See, both D and E, I can safely eliminate. It cannot be my topic sentence. Because information is after that. They want us to give the topic sentence. Right? To gauge what situation and plan accordingly. So I don't have a pretext. So this seems like a closing sentence for me. Alright, so having said that, you need to look at the most possible logical connect, which I feel at this point of time is only C. So it is talking about what is currently threatening the insurance industry and the reason why it needs to move digital. So because the remaining sentences are promising and it is telling you the advantages of why it should move digital or why it should, get technically savvy, and everything else, see, it says insurance is increasingly reliant on these. So it's giving you reasons for why these things should happen. So which means the first sentence should go ahead and imply something that is not happening right now. And that is there in C. The better behavior resulting from smart devices is just one threat to the insurance industry. Conventional risk pools are shrinking as preventable accidents decline, leaving the slow-footed giants of the industry at risk. So because everything that they do, their procedures, their transactions, everything is very slow, it's high time that there is some change. So they need to move in the right direction, and the right direction is become digitally native. So for me, the answer has to be C. Then it makes sense. That's how I'm looking at it. So they start off by this is the threat, and then they say it's high time that they move digital or become more digital or embrace technology. Nudge. When you nudge someone, it means you're giving them a gentle push. Right? Let's say, for example, somebody is a little skeptical. They have to give a speech. Right? They're not too sure because they're scared. They are nervous. So you give them a gentle push, like Namrata said, and poke. You nudge them to respond. You want them to react. You want them to go ahead and take that action, whatever it is.